So here we are again. For those of you that are followers of our channel, we like to go over some of the bikes and some of the details, and some of the people had seen us ride this one. This one is my son's bike, and this is the rendition of our approximately 1913 Indian. And when we call these years out, of course, we're just trying to get as close to some of the details, like the tank size and some of the other little details that kind of speak to that year, really. We built this one a few years ago now. My son primarily rides this bike. It is still, we're using a GC 160 motor on this one. I like using those motors. They're very dependable. They're easy to maintain, and they seem to ride real smooth. We did some upgrades on this one compared to, if you've watched some of our other videos, we did some stuff on my Harley Tribute, but this one we kind of made some improvements as we went along. And every one of these bikes we do a little bit more, and sometimes we like to go back and even after the bike is built, go back and change some things out, make it a little bit better, and we continue to do that on a regular basis. So as I said, this is our version of a 1913 Indian board track racer, and it is again a tribute bike. The real bike like this would probably be about $100,000 bike. So you can imagine what people's reactions are when we're riding around the neighborhood in these. When somebody sees us, it's kind of funny, but we have a good time with it. And so we'll kind of just go over some of the details. If you notice, this one has got the Girder fork system, and it took a while to get. I'm not gonna lie, I did not build these forks. We were able to get these from overseas, but they look the part. They ride real well. They're very heavy duty. We really like how they've performed so far. Going a little bit further down, because my son is a speed demon, and he is, it's hard to control how fast he actually goes. But that said, the typical coaster brake was not going to be enough for this bike, and we'll go further on. There's actually 3 brakes on this bike. First one being this drum brake. We got this piece from MB Rebel. It's a great front brake system. Of course, the original board track racer bikes would not have had a front drum brake like that, but in this case, for safety purposes, we definitely needed that. Some of the other details you'll notice, I don't know if we can get in on this one, but that front badging, it looks really cool and looks the part on this bike. Really makes a difference when you're at the different shows and stuff like that, and people are taking pictures of it. Some of those details really stand out. We tried to split the handlebars up the way the original ones were. They had kind of a unique system, if you've seen that, and we made it so that it is adjustable. You can sit these down a little bit lower, again, depending on your height and things like that. This tank we made it the same way we've been making the other tanks. If you've watched, again, there are some guys out there that build some fantastic bikes, and I don't want you to think that this is the only way to build these things by any means. And some of these guys build some fantastic tanks. They have great metalworking skills and are able to build these tanks from scratch and actually make them airtight, of course. And what I'm doing on these is not quite, these are metal tanks, and if you've watched some of my other videos, we build the outside shell, and then the inside I have an access panel on the bottom. The inside has a poly tank that sits inside there, and then of course our filler right up here on the top. We fill it in around, it's mounted in there, and then we kind of fill some of that voided space with some foam, and like kind of a spray foam, so it holds it into place really well. But again, you're not having an entire tank worth of fuel, because of course if you're doing that, it's even a little bit heavier, and we didn't want to make the weight issue, and then of course a safety issue as well for us. Again, we're not professional riders. We're having some fun with these things, and we have a great time with it. But really, most of the time, it's just my son and I. We're trying to get more people in the hobby, but little at a time. So hopefully, if you're watching this video, you're going to be building your own, or you can buy one of the ones that we've built. But so again, this is the fuel tank, and then Indian used a separate lower tank for their oil. This one, of course, is a mock system in ours, but it does, we did set that up so it looks the part again. For the most part, the motor is the same. We use the copper line for a fuel line coming down. We have a fuel cutoff switch. We did run a short pipe. My son likes his bike nice and loud, so it does scream down the road, and that's a lot of fun. When I'll tell you just a side note, when we run both the bikes together, again, I ride usually my Harley tribute bike, and my son rides his, and we go to pick up speed together side by side, both roaring with the open pipe like that. It is really, really cool, and it will definitely draw some attention. If we look over on this side, we've got a band brake on this one as well. Like I said, we had to add some extra brakes on this one just because trying to keep my son's speed under control is always a challenge. So I wanted to make sure that he had the ability to just about do anything he can to bring this bike to a halt very quickly. But this band brake system just rides on the centrifugal force clutch on this one. If you looked at my other Harley Tribute, I used a 3D manual clutch. Again, it's personal preference. Sometimes we'll switch the clutches out just for fun, just to try something different. But on this one right now, we do have a centrifugal force clutch with an outside band brake that takes care of that. We used the drive system in this one, very similar to the one we did on the Harley, but that is on our list of upgrades to do here pretty soon, is to change out the freewheeling sprockets. We're going to change those out to the system that we used on our Excelsior bike. If you, again, take a look at the videos, and you'll see some of the other upgrades that we did on that, and that system seems to work a lot better. You don't have to worry about the welds. It's difficult to weld those sprockets to the pipe steel that goes in between as a spacer, or that we were using before. If you, again, take a look at some of the other videos, and we show you exactly how to build that other system, it works really well. I think it actually comes out of a either an electric bike system or one of these other type scooters, or somebody even said the pocket rockets or something like that. Either way, I'm just hunting down some of these pieces and parts just individually so I can get the right combination to make these things work. We use the same rear sprocket on this one. This one again is a 64 tooth rear sprocket, and we got that one through MB Rebel, as well as the adapter to get it onto the hub. This at the 64, there's some people that are thinking that these bikes don't go very fast because we're using such a big rear sprocket. But you got to keep in mind that we do have an intermediate sprocket in there, and it makes a huge difference. These bikes are very fast, and the combination of setting this up has worked the best for us. We use it, again, to ride around the neighborhoods. Most of the time, our speed is, when we're just cruising, having some fun, somewhere around 25, 30 miles an hour. However, when we, early on a Sunday morning and there's nobody around, yeah, we'll open them up and they really get going. You can, we'll touch 50 miles an hour in a heartbeat. So I don't want people to think that because we're using such a big sprocket. Now, if you're using these truly as a race bike and you want to shrink this rear sprocket down, by all means, go for it. Just know, of course, that it's going to affect your takeoff speed. It'll be a little bit tougher to take off, but of course your top end is going to be way up there. This was the best combination for us. And again, we tried multiple sprockets. We have a drawer full of different sizes of sprockets. So when we were putting these things together, we tested all of them. Let's see, what else did we do on this one? These tires are they're actually electric bike tires. I think they're the name on here, Electra. Yeah, they're still 26-inch Electra tires. These again have been really good as far as wear and good grip on the pavement. Most of the roads around here are going to be concrete type roads, so those have seemed to work really well for us. Some of you guys that drive them off-road, and we've actually built another bike that was more of a kind of a dirt track type bike, and we used some knobby tires by Duro that worked really well. But again, it's a personal preference, and as you go, you just have to figure out which ones work the best. Let's see, some things that we kind of lessons learned as we were building this one is one of the things, I don't know if you can see it from this side, I know we can definitely see it from this other side here, and that was to, not only did we use a bottom plate on this one to set the motor on, but we also used an extra bracket here to help stabilize the motor, because again, when you're picking up speed and it's vibrating, you're giving it some gas, it's going to tend to move around a little bit, and rather than put the stress on these other things, the bike just again runs much smoother when it's stabilized here and at the bottom. We use the brackets similar to the ones we did on the Harley, where we've got it attached on the bottom and it clamps around, so that seems to work out real well. Some of these other pieces, like this oil feed, that's a mock-up piece there. This one is actually the stock carburetor on this one. We haven't really had to change this one out. We did add an air horn to give it a little more oomph, and this one really does roll down the road pretty well. We tried to go with some old school pedals on this one to again try to match the whole look. And one of the things that we do, if I know I've mentioned it before, my preference is the Patinaed Look. I want a bike that looks the part. Again, we didn't want a restoration, a brand new looking bike. We wanted it to look like a barn find or something similar to that, and that they've got some wear and tear on there. So when we actually put them together, we have to go back and kind of either ding them up or patina some of the pieces with a little bit of flat brown, a little bit of black. Some of it's on, just some rags that we'll wind up wiping the stuff down with. Different things like that that help give it the patina look. And we still have to make a video. I'm looking at my son at the same time. We still need to make a video on how we come up with these different patinaed looks, so that if you're going to paint these with a spray can, you can get really good results. We've got the ability. I build a lot of vehicles too. We can paint them with the car painting type of guns, but the pneumatic guns, but it's not necessary probably in this case. It's so small, but you can get really good finishes on these. But again, we go back and kind of muddy them up and make them look like they've been around 100 years. Okay guys, well, thanks for watching. I hope that it answered some questions and that you're inspired to go outside and either build your own or get out there and ride yours. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below, and certainly appreciate any likes and subscriptions. Y'all take care.